Welcome. Today, you are getting your first chance to get in the kitchen and actually prepare some food. We are starting with knife safety because so many recipes require knife skills before you put it in the pan, put it in the oven, put it in the salad, whatever it is that you're making. So things you want to consider when you're getting your station set up is ensure it's clear. And second of all, you want to make sure that your cutting board is secure to your countertop. Now this cutting board is a plastic cutting board, but it doesn't have any rubber edges, meaning that when it's on the counter, it's very slippy. If your cutting board doesn't have the rubber edges to secure it, use a damp paper towel or cloth underneath, and that will just give it a nice firm base. Other types of cutting boards that are out there would be wood-based cutting boards. And those ones you just want to make sure that when you're cleaning them, they don't go into the dishwasher and you don't want to soak them in water. Essentially, you don't want to waterlog them. You don't want too much water getting into your wood. And when you're done with them, ensuring they're totally dry. And then often you need to treat them with a little bit of linseed oil or sometimes even just vegetable oil to seal them before you start again. Once I've got my cutting board all set up, we're going to talk about the knife. So the knife in the lesson goes over all sorts of different parts of the knife, but the three areas we're going to focus on today are the tip, the edge, and this part right here where the handle meets the blade, and that's called the bolster. When holding the knife, we want to put our thumb and our forefinger over top of the knife like so, because this gives us the most control. It ends up being an extension of our hand, as opposed to if I was holding it on the handle, it lags behind my motion. Now, if you were using a paring knife, sorry, this is a chef's knife. If you're using a paring knife, it's kind of too small to do that. So holding the handle with your thumb on the side would be sufficient. But it's such a small knife that it is more naturally an extension of your hand. When you're working in a kitchen, I know, especially at home, you often forget to put shoes on, but I do recommend that when you're using a knife to wear at least a thick slipper or shoes, because if you drop it, you don't want the knife to hit your bare feet. Okay, so our first item that we're going to work with is a large item. So this is a cantaloupe. Our goal when we're cutting food on a cutting board is to get it down to a point where it has a flat surface as quickly as possible. Also, this cantaloupe, because we're going to be cutting from the outside in, we always want to rinse fruits and vegetables, no matter whether or not you're going to eat the peel. So I'm just going to rinse this quickly. So, when I'm working with a large item that is not stable yet, I'm going to hold my knife, like I was showed, and my offhand is going to be a flat. First, I'm going to get it into there, flat, like so that when I push down, my fingers are nowhere near the blade. There we go. So that's a big item. One thing to note about your knife is that sometimes people think if the knife is dull, that it's safer because it's not as sharp. But in actuality, having the sharpest knife possible is the most safe situation because you do not have to apply much force and the chance of you slipping are significantly decreased. So next we're going to dice and julienne this carrot. So before we get going on doing that with the knife, we're going to peel. Peelers have blades on them, similar to a knife. So we want to make sure that we're peeling away from ourselves, not towards our hands. And anytime I'm working with fruits and vegetables, I always have a compost bin ready to go so that I can keep my station as clean as possible. So once I'm done with this item, there we go. I can take that food and put it directly into the compost bin to keep my station clear. When I'm cutting a carrot, again, we're trying to get down to a flat surface as quickly as possible, but unlike the cantaloupe where I had a flat hand on top, I'm looking for my offhand to become a claw. Specifically, we're looking for this last digit to tuck under so that you have a flat surface on the second digit of your hand. So I've got my hands over the bolster, my offhand is in a claw. I'll get rid of the front and the back. And before I can start slicing or dicing, I'm going to put it into threes. And last, I'm going to get down to a flat surface. So once I'm on the flat surface like so, I can do a variety of different skills here. So I'm going to start with slicing. We go this way. And you'll notice that as I cut, I'm rocking back and forth, keeping those digits under there. So that's a slice we've got there. If we're looking to julienne, so we're making long matchsticks, we're going to slice this way. Again, we're not pushing straight down, we're anchoring and then going down that way, and then we're going to take it onto its side so that we end up with these kind of matchstick looks. And then dicing, I've got my slicing, and I always say to myself that I'm going to double slice. I'm dicing, okay? So I've sliced one way, I'm now going to slice the other way. So I've lined up my carrots like so, and I'm going to go back and forth, dicing the opposite direction, trying to make sure I get approximately the same size piece throughout. So there's that. The last one, another one I'm going to talk about. So another type I'm going to talk about is called chiffonade. And I'm going to take these as an example. This is a basil leaf, a large basil leaf. So to chiffonade, I'm just going to take these leaves, I'm going to roll them up like so. And then again, I'm going to anchor tip and I'm going to rock back and forth. Now, because this is a softer vegetable, it might need a bit more. No, it's good. And this is a nice cut if you were wanting this to be a fresh topping on top of a pizza or a dip, things like that. And then I'm going to use this garlic clove to talk about how to mince. Now, garlic cloves, just keep in mind, this is a clove. When it's combined all together, that's a head. If you mix those two things up, you will get a very garlicky outcome. So with your garlic, the easiest way to remove the peel is to take the flat side of your knife and push down. And then the peel should come right off, like so. And you're going to want to cut off where the stem connects. And we are going to, for mince, first we're going to slice, keeping that hand, there we go, using our finger like so. And then we're going to go the other way. And then as you work, just being mindful of the knife, the edge. Now that I've got it down to the smaller pieces, if I want them to be even smaller, I'm going to anchor the tip and I'm going to go back and forth like this. One thing you might be tempted to do is to use the sharp edge of the blade to scrape it back together, but try to avoid doing that. Use the back side of your knife if you need to bring it all back together so that you don't dull your blade on your cutting board. Okay. And then one more time. Okay, that's looking good. So we've got our diced carrots, we've got our sliced carrots, we've got a julienne, we've got a chiffonade, and we have our minced garlic. Biggest thing with the knife is to go slowly at first, and again, make sure you have the correct grip on it so that you are in control of the knife. When you are done with your knives, it's important that you wash your knives by hand. Again, we don't want sharp items to go into our dishwasher because most dishwashers these days are covered in a plastic coating. And if this sharp knife is agitated or moves at all during the washing cycle, you can scratch your rubber coating and that can rust. Also, it dulls the blade because the water inside the dishwashers is extremely hot. If you need to carry your knife through the kitchen to get to your cleaning station, best practice is to hold the knife facing downward and towards yourself. You know you have a knife. Other people in the kitchen might not know you have a knife. And then we walk carefully, making sure that we're being mindful of the people around us, and we put it beside the sink. We don't ever want to put a knife directly into the sink, especially if there's already soapy water in there, because then other people who come, or even yourself if you forget it's in there, might reach into the sink and cut themselves on sharps. Okay, This is your first time cooking and are preparing food in your own kitchen, so make sure you take the time to set yourself up for success. Follow the steps I've included in the lesson in how to prepare yourself, so making sure your hair is back, hands are washed, removing jewelry, you've got an apron on, you've got shoes on for this one, and I can't wait to see what you come up with for this recipe.